Hello, everybody. Oh, I'm kind of like blue tonight. My lighting is funny. All right, so let me know. I'm trying a new platform. It should be broadcasting into Facebook and onto YouTube, I think. So let's see if this works. I'm just going to go peek over in Facebook while people are coming on. Let's see, and I know that there's often a delay. So let's look here. Welcome. I'm looking forward to our conversation tonight. It has been a while. So let's look. Okay. Good. Good. So let me know when you're here. Give me a hello in the chat or in the comments. Again, I'm starting on I'm trying a new platform. So I'm not quite sure how you all are doing it. Are you clicking a link and then it's taking you somewhere else off of either Facebook or YouTube? Or are you commenting right in Facebook? Let me know. And welcome to any of you that are watching the replay. I'm just going to wait a few more minutes. Looking forward to knowing what you all are celebrating tonight. Marion, there you are. Good, it worked. Hey, Marion. I was saying I'm trying a new technology. So we'll get your feedback later. I'm so glad you're here and looking forward to hearing in the comments what you, Marion, and what everybody else is choosing to celebrate this week. I'm celebrating many things. One is to be back live. Oh, good, Marion. Thank you for letting me know. To be doing this live, I think it might be like a month since I've been on because I do Happy Fridays emails and blogs every 2 weeks. And I missed the one 2 weeks ago because I had COVID. Yes, I did. And I wrote a blog about that today, about some of the lessons that I had been reminded that I knew, but it was a great time being sick to remember them and to remember them. So I wrote about that. So I'm looking forward to knowing if that resonated, if any of those lessons or those practices have resonated with you. I'll ask you some of those questions. And again, for those just joining and are new to my work, I'm Kathryn Martin. I'm a next chapter coach and looking forward to tonight's discussion. So if you're new to me, also, if you'd like to join my email list, I've got a nice packet of information that I've titled Shift, Strategies for Times of Change, with exercises and prompts and insights and things to help people navigate change. This is what one of my passions is, and it was present before the pandemic. And like so much in my life right now, things are flowing, and I found myself in a pandemic, and these practices were of help to many. So welcome. So it's like I'm going public. I had COVID. And for those of you that know me, I'm a rule follower, and I've been Peter and I, my husband and I, and our adult son, one of our children, we've been being very careful. So having COVID was this weird. One, I'm good now. I'm obviously I'm good and I'm grateful. And let me turn my phone off. Um, it, I have to say that I've survived COVID. For me and my family, we did not have symptoms that would put us in the hospital, and I knew that. So it was terrible, but I did not go through what so many people are going through with that real fear and concern and risk. So it was like a very bad flu. It was really interesting too, because the three of us all had very different symptoms. Um, where do we get it? How do we get it? I don't know. We've got some guesses, but again, we have been cocooning and being very safe and cautious. So, but now I kind of feel like I have superpowers. I will still be very, very careful, but isn't it nice that so many people are getting vaccinated now and uh, have that extra security and sense of security, which has many ramifications, both for all of us personally, and certainly professionally. And I, like many of you, work in the arts and the performing arts. So it's maybe giving us even more hope as we imagine the future. So let me know, how are you? What are you choosing to celebrate this week? When you look back at the week, what do what do you notice? What was your impact? What was the most meaningful thing that occurred uh, in either your impact or what you did to create the impact? A choice of how to show up, a choice of how to think or how to feel or how to speak in a certain way, or what actions did you take that created the possibility for all sorts of things. It's these days, it is sometimes just impossible to accomplish our to-do list. So if we don't accomplish our to-do list, but yet have big impact, I say that is worth celebrating. And maybe that's a practice, and maybe that's a muscle. I know for me that I have certainly developed, and actually being in an interim role for so many organizations really helped me hone that skill, because I was a big list maker and a crosser offer, and that was my value. That was how I, achieved success. Well, when in that kind of a role, it was obvious and just known that that to-do list it was impossible to do everything. So what were the top things that I could do every day, every week, that would move the needle? That was the terminology that I used, how to move the needle. Yeah, and what I noticed is sometimes even the smallest things. I made somebody smile, or somebody made me smile, or feel safe or good. Um, could have the largest impact. How we choose to show up each day is always in our control. Always in our control. Let me just see. So, what are your thoughts about that? How did you choose to show up? In the blog that I did on the lessons that COVID re-taught me, um, I'll share some of those with you. So I found that asking for help. I mean, there's so many wonderful things about knowing how to ask for help, um, feeling comfortable asking for help, removing any assumptions that we have about what it means about us if we ask for help. So in addition to all of those things, I just realized that asking for help helps ground us in the present moment. Because it means we had to ask ourselves, how are we? What do we need? What's important? What's important to others? Um, where do I want to spend my time? Where and thus where can I not spend my time? And I might need, if it's an important thing that has to get done, and maybe somebody else might be able to um, help continue that or help do that. So it's this so in order to be able to delegate, in order to be able to ask for help, in order to be able to prioritize, for me, it to really get it right requires or invites us to drop into the present moment and really see what is. I love that. Love it. And it's in those moments too when we can have a practice of seeing what is, not what we think it is. If we can get to that point where we're really testing the assumptions, checking our limiting beliefs. Is this true? Is this not? What if it wasn't? If we're really in the present moment, there can often be like epiphanies. You know how like back in the day when we would take vacations and travel to different places, and how, some challenges at work, when you go away and then come back, you have new perspective, and then those same challenges become solvable or addressable, or the drama seems less important. This also happens, of course, when we're sick. I remember this happened big time for our family when our son had cancer. It's like, oh, all of those things that yesterday seemed so important really aren't. And so I guess that's part of the trick, is, let's not let's not have these epiphanies when we ourselves are sick and we almost have no choice, or when a family member is sick, or only when we get to go on vacation. Let's see what Marian said. I like what you said about listening to your body. I try to listen closely to my body. I get a lot of information that I would otherwise overlook. Yeah. I hear this a lot, Marian, I'm sure you do. Yeah, when people get sick, their body breaks down, stress. So, sometimes our bodies scream at us. Sometimes the universe, if we want to go there, sometimes the universe screams at us, hits us in the head over and over and over until we see what is. And for me, that seeing what is just, again, dropping down into the body, which to me is helpful to connect to the present moment. This is my wine glass. This is my mouse. Just seeing what is, and then extending that observation to not only external, but internal. And then again, adding the other part of that practice of testing assumptions about what is and is not true. Marian, you've heard me talk a lot about that what if exercise. So, on day one, when I was experiencing all of these terrible symptoms, I did have a moment. I did have a moment of saying, what if? So first it was, what if I have COVID? No, I've been so careful. It's just the flu, or it's just a head cold. But it's very normal, isn't it, to start running those scenarios of, what if I am sick? What if I'm so sick that I have to go to the hospital? What if I die? What if? Of course, this happens at work too. What if we can't go back into the hall at 100% of capacity in September? What if? And sometimes the what if can be a part of a good analyzation, analyzing, being very practical, being very, very realistic, being data driven. But we just have to watch it, because if the what if is turning into a form of suffering for us or others, if it turns into anxiety, if it keeps us going in circles in our head and not helping us move forward, keeps us in indecision, keeps us in confusion, keeps us in worry, then the exercise of flipping it and saying, instead of what if all the negative were true, what if the opposite? What if I could? What if I don't get sick? What if what if audiences can come back in September at 100% capacity? What would that mean? And then how can I create that possibility? It's wonderful. My mentor, said, sometimes the advice, stop saying what if, stop doing that. But that impulse, I don't know what it is, but that habit, that impulse of starting the sentence, what if, don't fight it. But when you hear yourself say what if, that gives us enough time to go, oh wait, flip it. Let's examine the opposite of that. It's very, very, it was, that exercise alone was really, really powerful in my life when I was making my leap into entrepreneurship and into my heart singing. And this idea too of reset, let's find ways to reset, if that's a word that resonates with you, or could be just become in the present moment, gain new perspective, is all about, our responsibility to take charge of our lives. So let's not just wait until we get sick, or let's not wait until we get to go on vacation, but take charge. Take charge. The other thing I was thinking about was that accepting offers of help is a joyful expression of gratitude. So I thought about part of this, so in development and fundraising. When I first started out, and I was very nervous about asking people for money, until I met this amazing woman who, and she knew I was nervous. It was my first big ask. Luckily, I had developed a wonderful relationship with her, but it was time for me to make an ask. And I'm sure I bumbled or whatever, because I didn't. What are the statements that we think? I don't want to intrude. I don't want to embarrass them if they say no. I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. I want to show them respect. Like all of these things. And those things actually can sound very kind, we're being very respectful of the other person. But what she taught me was, after I asked, she said yes, and then she thanked me for helping her make a difference. And in this case, it was a legacy gift. And she expressed her gratitude. And so I learned that through fundraising. But maybe that was more in my head. I mean, I knew it intellectually. And I have now many examples of actually how I know this is true, which is why it's so much fun to connect donors in the community with causes that they believe in. But for me this time, it was, I don't know if I was just brought up where I would say, oh, no, thank you. May I help you, Kathryn? Actually, a really hard question for me is always, how can I help? And I'm grateful for so much. But in my life right now, both professionally and personally, I have people in my life that will ask the question differently, or won't even ask me if I would like help. They just provide it. And that has helped me see what a wonderful thing it is to accept help. Accept help. And of course, this happens in the workplace too. And so instead of saying, oh no, don't worry, I'll be fine, say, yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. It's nice to receive help. And then, of course, my gratitude lists in the morning get longer and longer. And guess what? I now want to do the same, because those people, really made a difference in my life. In this case, I'm talking about, help with COVID. And I didn't need any help, really, but, I received treats and I received just so much. Actually, I remember one of the first times I did accept help, and that was when our son had cancer, brain cancer. And I remember a good friend offered to coordinate meal delivery. And I actually thought to myself, well, why would that be needed? Because Peter, my husband, and I, we're not sick. Like, we're fine. But thank goodness, I had no idea what it's like to just be in the present moment with somebody a family member battling cancer, cooking a meal, eating. That was the last thing on my mind, and I couldn't do it. So that was the first time where I thought, wow, I needed this, and I didn't even know, and I certainly did not know how to ask at all. So let's see what Marion says. So Marion, you got your first vaccine this past week, and you're surprised by how much your mindset has changed. You're dreaming about going to concerts of all your favorite artists, literally dreaming. I feel so uplifted and on the road to freedom. And I just thank you for saying that. I love that. And isn't it interesting how, all of the facts of our lives and our situation is here. And it is what it is. And so sometimes we'll be happy, but sometimes we won't be happy. And then you get a shot. And this is also sometimes just, it's not even something physical that happens. It's just a thought that then changes everything. Isn't that wonderful? And I happen to know that Marion has a wonderful mindset. But after your shot, your vaccine, your first vaccine, gives you hope. I kind of feel that way, Marion, because I've had COVID. It's like, oh, actually, I had my experience. I was out filming in front of the orchestra. We were bringing the orchestra back together. We're right now, this past week, in the process of filming the segments. And so I was outside, masked, filming with other people. And then right next to where we were filming was a outdoor cafe and people. So we went inside there, inside the ropes. And I was drinking my Prosecco, like taking my mask up and drinking. Everybody looked at me and said, Kathryn, in this scenario, you don't need a mask. Like, oh, I didn't know that. But so when Marion, I took my mask off, it felt really weird because it's been a year. Because I haven't been going out like that. And I took my mask off. I'm like, oh, it was exhilarating. And then I too have been talking to so many people this week who are in the process of getting both, the vaccinations or have already. And there's that euphoria. I was on a Zoom call today, and people were talking too about all of the folks that are booking cruises and vacations, and so as soon as they are allowed to, they're going to safely start traveling. I'm not there yet. mostly because I've got a big job right now in my hometown with the symphony, but and it's exhilarating. So we were starting to talk about traveling. Are you talking, Marion, about traveling yet? I think we're thinking about it, but I'm not ready to. I mean, I know lots of people are, but I'm not ready to make a reservation yet. But I think that has more to do with just, I don't know, running a symphony orchestra and wanting to be here. And plus, we're living in Santa Barbara, and 2 years now, um, 2 years, but almost a year of that for me was going back and forth to Tucson to lead the Tucson Symphony. So, and then after that, we're in COVID. So I'm kind of looking, I said to my husband last night, I'm kind of just looking for when it opens up, I want to be here and get to know my new hometown, my new 2-year-old hometown. So you verbally committed to travel to a conference. Wow, that feels big. In November, though. So by that time, it'll all be good. I was hearing an interview too, and they said something that I experience. Do you, when you watch movies, and there are groups or people are like really close together, like, oh, they're so close together. It's weird. It'll be weird to go back. Now, for those of you in Texas and in other states that have opened up, maybe, you're like way ahead and you're fine with the psychological shift from being at home and being behind a mask to taking it off and being free. We're not there yet because our numbers in California aren't there yet. Marion says, I think we're going to see a major shift as more people get vaccinated. Yes, absolutely. And for good reason. For good reason. It's really going to be fun. So for those of you, again, that are listening to the broadcast, we're talking about, hey, David, from the East Coast. I'm just reflecting on lessons I've relearned as a result of having COVID, and the relevance and the importance of these kind of mindful practices, in our embodied actions, our thoughts, our language, feelings, choices that we have. Where was I going? Oh, and so for those of you watching on the replay that may not know my work, this is knowing what we really, really want. Knowing who we really are. Knowing what we really, really want in terms of the impact that we have when we're feeling joy. Then we can reverse engineer it to create the possibility of having lives of meaning, or really living lives in our purpose, or living our lives having the impact that we're meant to have. And I work with people and organizations who are at crossroad moments, because that's kind of my thing. I can sense, and I love figuring out how to just do that chiropractic adjustment that then creates a possibility for everyone to do their best work. So if you're at a crossroad moment, give me you might want to check out my website and my articles. Thank you, David. I did have COVID, and I'm fine. And compared to many, many others, I sailed through. It didn't completely feel like I was sailing through, but I knew, I really did know that I wasn't in life-threatening danger, which was helpful. There was one time where I said to my doctor, should I be worried? But, you know, the next day I felt better, and the next day I felt better. So, and I've learned a lot. Oh, I hear my little puppy. I've learned a lot about it. And Angel, come here. She wants some attention. How are you, David? How's the orchestra? Oh, David, you got your first vaccine too, just like Marion. Ah, good, congratulations. And did you feel a surprise change in your mindset, or was it just business as usual? David, I can't remember, are you doing broadcasts and live stream? Or in your community, are you allowed to have socially distanced audiences inside yet? I think not, right? We're bringing the orchestra back inside, socially distanced, but doable. String players in masks, winds and brass in different configurations safely, some behind plexiglass, and strategically situated under the HVAC system. And we're going pretty much back to back, or it feels like that, with the remainder of the season. One a month, one concert a month. And my staff is like, talking to their colleagues and remarking on, oh my goodness, we are so busy right now in concert production. And I think some people think, oh, it must be really slow because there's no performances with audience. But as so many of us know, creating these broadcasts and writing scripts, or dealing with working with videographers and all of these things that we've never had to add to the production has just been extraordinary. So in the April concert for David, you'll be allowed to have a small audience. Yeah, I'm hoping that we'll be able to have some music in front of some live folks. But certainly we're not planning to have actual ticketed performances until next fall. And even that, we're waiting to see what the new regulations are. I think there's a new one coming out March 19th, to see, are we using the pod seating configuration or the checkerboard, and is it indoor capacity at 29%, or is it at something more reasonable? What if everybody's vaccinated? All of those questions. So we're just watching right now. Yes, and David says, between fundraising, grant writing, concert production, I am exhausted, and it feels great to get a vaccine. Yeah. And you mentioned grant writing too. I said in a Zoom call today of other colleagues, it doesn't feel like we're in America right now because we have so much possibility of government funding, or funding opportunities, that of course we have to apply for and make a case for, but it feels good that there is a more support or possibility of support coming. So grant writing, it's interesting that you say that, David. For us, that has really ramped up, which is a good thing, a very good thing. But we've had to address that to make sure that we have the capacity to seize those opportunities. Okay, I'm going to say something else. I think, so I had my symptoms compared to no fever, just feeling sick. Each one of my family members had very different symptoms. None of us had fever. But tonight, I'm just wondering if my taste isn't a little bit off. That would be weird, especially for me. I'm such a foodie. So it's just right, like right now when I'm drinking this wine, I'm wondering, am I really fully tasting it, or is it just like parts? I'm only tasting the sweetness. Not that that's a very interesting subject, but I'm wondering that. I'm gonna have to do some experimentation tonight. David, yes, your grants and foundation revenue is about 200% of your budget goal. Yeah, we've surpassed our budgeted goal, which maybe doesn't mean anything because how we budgeted this time was kind of like a crapshoot. But the two lines are grants. Grants, we have already met our end of year budget. And there's still lots of opportunity, and we really need to keep going on that because that'll help the other areas of the budget. And then the other area is we budgeted really conservatively on ticket income, meaning we had already had subscribers come in. We already renewed subscribers. And so we just assumed that we wouldn't be able to have any extra income. And then after that, we decided to present our 7-concert subscription series, offer a virtual ticket. Most of our subscribers came along and converted their subscriptions to a combination of virtual ticket and donations. So right now we're over our budgeted amount. So isn't that interesting? But still, where is all the attention needed to be? Right where it should be in contributed revenue, because we need to be relevant to our community. We need to be helping our community in the ways that only a symphony orchestra can and only the arts can. So that's where we are. But yeah, congratulations, David, on those grants and foundations. And the foundations, too, have been so helpful. And maybe, I think anecdotally, just support and interest in asking how we are doing operationally. So instead of maybe focusing on special projects, giving us the opportunity to make a case for overall organizational support. And of course, all of this, we're all working so hard to make sure that our musicians are employed and our staff and our teaching artists for our music education programs are continue to be employed, so that during the pandemic, we can be going full tilt on delivering on our mission to bring connection, hope, joy, engagement to a community. Oh, David, yes. David says it would be terrible not to be able to experience wine, the full taste experience. So like I said, I don't know. Maybe, this is one of my favorite wines and I know the taste very well, and it's just not tasting as complex. Oh, I'm going to be really sad if I've lost part of my taste. But there's only one way to find out. So I will do some experimenting tonight. Okay, well, what are you celebrating? Before we go, look at this, look at me, I'm getting all fancy. Did you see what I just did? What are you celebrating today and why? And this is not about ego. This is about creating that practice of noticing what makes your heart sing, noticing, you have to look around to do this, noticing what your impact is when you show up fully, when you don't show up fully, and being that, exercising that that Sherlock Holmes, that being the expert on ourselves. If we aren't, who will be? So it's not out of ego that we want to celebrate. It's to observe impact, reinforce it, figure out why the funniest, littlest, biggest things make us feel so good. What is the impact on others? So we have, and so when we know this, we can repeat it. We can seek it out. We can learn, well, what were the causes and conditions, internal and external, that helped create that possibility for that celebration? It's good stuff. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Marcia says you are celebrating onboarding. Onboarding. Yes. Cheers. Because we know what that means. It means you are starting your next chapter that you have curated and are continuing to curate. Love it. Okay, why? I mean, I kind of know why. Why are you so you're celebrating onboarding? Why? What does that mean? Take some ownership. What does that mean about you? And David says, we've worked basically without a net. Yeah. An opportunity to experiment with new digital programs and marketing. Is that what you're celebrating? Yeah. And why, David? Why do you, I mean, I promise I won't do the why questions. Because I want to go start experimenting with my tasting. But why? What are you celebrating? And then the why is really fun to understand. Because I've been in, when I do group coaching, sometimes there might be more than one person that is celebrating something that sounds very similar. When I do this with staff or with boards, 2, 3, 4 people can be celebrating the same thing. But when I ask why, it's 100% always a different answer, which is just beautiful because we're all very different people. Yeah, Marcia, you're celebrating that you're in this moment of onboarding because it's what you manifested, and that it does feel awesome. You did it. You created that possibility. And I was talking earlier about being an expert on ourselves, and that's what you're doing. You continue to have increased clarity on who you are, what your extraordinary impact is, how you create that impact. So you're home. You continue, and you've been doing this your whole career. It's not like all of a sudden you are, but with this awareness, you are just continuing to hone and know how to put yourself in just the right place. Yeah. And David, celebrating moving our organization forward rather quickly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not hard. It's not hard. It's not easy sometimes. Much of the time. Beautiful. All right, folks. Thank you for joining me. I'm trying this new software. It's kind of fun on my side. I'm going to go look now on the different platforms and see how it appears to you all. But it's wonderful for me, so I might keep it. Have a wonderful weekend. Continue the celebrations. Give yourself a big pat on the back for the choices that you're making. And I'm glad to be back. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.